to do today is to invite you to consider, at least consider, to utilize one of the most effective and powerful tools that you're going to find to establish and nurture business and corporate relationships in the world. And comadres, amigas, I'm talking about golf. So do you accept my invitation to at least consider maybe learning how to use golf as a business tool? Are you in? So my intention today, along with some amigas, is to demystify golf for you, all right? To at least do that for you. And in addition to that, I want you to walk away today with the confidence of knowing that you can actually participate in a business charity golf tournament, not in a year, not in a few years, but literally in a few weeks or months if you choose to do so. You really can connect that fast. Are you in? Okay, so we have a super treat for you today. I have all of these slides that have all kinds of information and statistics about why golf is important and why you should be playing golf and learning how to play golf. But I thought it would be more effective if you learn and hear this from two women who have actually used golf as a business tool. And they are here, and I'm so proud to have them. I want to bring them up to join me here. You've already heard from one, our fireside chat, Mirna Soto. Mirna, will you join me up here? All right. And then you're going to hear from our next guest tomorrow, Giselle Reese. I know you've heard of her because she's a former COO of Walmart. And she's a golfer, and she's used golf as a business tool. So thank you, ladies. Here we go. Awesome. Thank you. We're going to hear from them some great stories about how it is that they connected with golf and how golf actually transformed perhaps their business careers and their professional careers. But then we're going to take it back to just how did they actually get involved? How do you play in a scramble format? We're going to actually go through all of that, and we're going to show them how freaking easy it is, that they can actually do it. So let's start off with your first story of how did golf, tell us a story about how golf played a role in your professional career. Do you want to go first, please?
Okay. All right. So my father. You'll hear more about my family tomorrow. My dad didn't know how to play golf. He learned how to play golf in his 60s. And he dragged my sister and I, when we were in high school, dragged us out of bed and said, "You're coming with me." How did my dad learn how to play golf at 60? He was a farm labor contractor, and the farmers that hired him brought him with them. So his employers dragged him, he dragged his two daughters, and that's how I even got to put a golf club in my hand, kicking and screaming on the way to the golf course because I wanted to sleep in, I wanted to, do whatever, anything but golf. But fast forward to my time at Walmart, and Walmart hosted a tournament called the First Tee. It was held at Pebble Beach. Nice. Incredible. Nice. And because we were the presenting sponsor, we got a bunch of seats or a bunch of spaces in the Pro-Am, and we were trying not to show up with a bunch of white executives, white male executives, and somehow they found out I played golf, and I got invited to be in one of those spots for Walmart. Well,
who were you playing with?
I ended up playing golf with the corporate CEO at the time, Mike Duke, and the CFO, the corporate CFO, Tom Shoey. And from that point on, Mike just became like a friend and a mentor. And even after he retired from Walmart, he still made time to meet with me and have coffee with me and talk with me about my career. And it was all because I was one of very few women, and especially women of color, who played golf.
So it played a very important role.
Absolutely, especially in establishing that relationship with him that ultimately ended up being a wonderful mentor relationship.
It's
That's awesome. So my story is a little different, but similar. First of all, Giselle just said they found out she played golf. You need to tell people you play golf. My Twitter handle says golfer, right at the front, right? And because a lot of people, they'll look at me and they're like 5 foot nothing, can she really hit the ball? You know, and then it's like, yeah, I'm a golfer. And when you start talking to people, they're like, oh, excellent, let's play together. One of the things about golf, not that I want to go on a tangent, that is so incredibly special is that it's the one opportunity to play a sport very late in life. In other words, you could play for a very long time, but you also have a captive audience when you play a round of golf. So that time that you spent was a quality, probably about a good 4.5 hours with that group to build that type of social relationship. But my story about golf, my brother, not my father never picked up golf. He still wonders why we play. But my brother was a fairly decent golfer, and he said, come play with me, let's spend some time together. And I did not have a very good experience playing golf. I had horrible equipment, bad instruction, was hitting the ball out there, like picking up more grass than hitting balls. And I dropped the game. This is like in my mid-20s. Dropped the game. I then had an opportunity to move to Las Vegas, Nevada, and work for a company by the name of MGM Resorts. At the time, they were called MGM Mirage, but now they're MGM Resorts. And it became very clear, going back to my centers of power, it became very clear that my critical stakeholders in the company that I needed to convince, influence, and steer around some of the strategies that we were doing around technology, all played golf, every single one of them. And it became clear when I couldn't get any meetings during business hours, but I would hear things like, well, he's going to be on the golf course. And I'm like, okay. And the company still does, but owns a very, very exclusive golf course in Las Vegas called Shadow Creek. And in order, just like, by the way, Pebble Beach is phenomenal. But Shadow Creek is very difficult to play on. You have to be a guest, you have to be a high roller. There's all these considerations. And there was a unique opportunity where a number of executives were going out for a team building event. And I heard about it, learned about it, and I said, yeah, I play golf. I want to join. Now, I didn't know how to hold the club. I didn't know how to hit, all that great stuff. And weeks leading up to it, I spent all this time on the range trying to get the ball in the air, all this stuff. But I had a pretty decent experience with that group. Met with one of the top key executives of MGM Resorts, who ended up becoming the CEO after our CEO at the time retired. And it was a very friendly, you get up there anxiety-ridden, but I became very friendly. And then from that point on, I fell in love with the game of golf, played at every opportunity that I could, every. And when you live in Las Vegas, you can play year-round, even though it gets a little hot in the summertime. But golf has been a very pivotal thing for me because I've been able to build lifelong friendships on the golf course, some business, some personal. But definitely from a business perspective, charity events, as Sid brought up, corporate sponsored events. It came down to, hey, I want to make sure I get paired with so-and-so because I want to spend these 3 hours, 4 hours with them on the course. And it's a game that feels intimidating until you hit that one ball, boom, right down the middle of the fairway, and you're like, oh, I'm going to come back.
I'm coming back. That'll do it. That one shot will get you back. Well, we've talked about how golf really is an entree and provides us access to those circles of power and influence that you talked about. I do want to sort of say a disclaimer, not just because you play golf are you going to automatically get that promotion, you're not automatically going to go up the ladder. However, what I am going to guarantee you about playing golf is that you will get noticed. You will get noticed, and it will provide you that access to people of influence and power, and they're going to remember who you are, and maybe for that next promotion or that next project, they're going to say, you know what, I just spent 4 hours with Giselle. I think she's great. We can trust her. Let's give her that assignment. So it will at least give you that opportunity for you to shine.
No, I totally agree. And for those of you who are open to contemplating learning how to play golf, actually, raise your hand. How many of you already know how to play golf? Good for you, Don.
Nice.
That's okay. There's no judgment.
Awesome.
Okay.
Looks like we have 2 foursomes for tomorrow.
That's great. That's great. The way that I would think about this is it's not about the caliber of golf that you play.
Very important.
That is very, very important because I am not, to this day, I don't consider myself a good golfer. I can make contact with the ball and I can move the ball forward. It'll probably take me twice as long as it does Myrna, but I'm going to finish the game. It really is about the relationships and the time.
What I like
And then
to
they get
say-
to see you in a totally different light. Like I had seen my CEO in the hallways, but after that first initial time when he discovered that I played golf and we were at this tournament the same, the way that he engaged with me was so different because we had had this opportunity to just talk, and he got to know me and about my family and my career, my background, just the simple little conversations that happen in a single round.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, the whole, a lot of people, and there's a big movement right now, and I'm sure you're probably very much involved, about there's been a slightly downward trend of people adopting golf because of the time that it requires. And, people, they have a limited amount of free time, they got to make choices, but there's, programs, and I would call them adjustments to the traditional game that still allow you to have a very pleasant experience. But when you're riding in the golf cart with someone that this is like moments of truth, right? You get assigned with someone from that circle of power, your CEO, fill in the blank, and you're driving in that golf cart, you have an enormous opportunity in a socially relaxed setting, no audience. So that person is not performing, because let's be honest, executives, we have to perform. It's not performing, they're letting their hair down, and they're there just to hang out with you. I mean, when do we get that opportunity, right? So if the game of golf will give you those type of avenues, and Giselle's spot on, even if you don't play very well, it doesn't matter. It's about camaraderie. There's a whole culture to golf.
Yeah.
There's a whole culture to golf about camaraderie and etiquette, and you actually learn a lot about strategy. I find golf to be the most strategic game ever. You hit your ball great off the tee, now you're in the sand bunker. Now what do? I have a choice, I can try this, I can try that. It's just like in business. You're making all these decisions, risk and reward. And ladies, we're better at that strategy. The guys all want to hit it hard.
They want to hit it hard and far. That's all they care about.
They all want to bomb it out, and you're like, let me just chip it over here, get on the green, and putt, and make my way out. So it's an advantage that the gender has here in this game.
I will add to it, because I'm making it sound like it was a one-and-done thing. I got invited back every year, and then got invited to other pro-ams as a result. So I actually played Pebble Beach
Tell
three
them what
times.
a pro-am is.
Well, that's when amateurs, us, people in this room, are partnered with professional golfers, and you put together your collective score and keep score and see who wins. But as a result, I also got invited to come back multiple times in different sorts of venues. So it does open doors. And Myrna, you're so right. Because let's say you shank a shot. You hit it poorly. Maybe you swing and you miss the ball entirely. What's on display is your composure and how you deal with that challenge and how you deal with frustration. Golf is also a game of character and integrity, believe it or not. Where the ball is placed and how you count your strokes. So there's a lot more to it than the little white ball. It's actually
It's incredible that you say that. It reminded me of something that I did when I was still at Comcast. Unfortunately, there's a whole other thing about golf and accessibility. Having courses, and we've had the blessing of playing some incredible courses through business. It's expensive. It's not always easy. And when I lived in the Northeast and I was working for Comcast, I was brutally hit in the face about how hard the accessibility of golf is in the Northeast. When I worked in Nevada, and I spent a lot of time here in California because you all have beautiful courses here. For me, it was easy. You know, you just pick your course, show up, make a tee time, pay your fee. In the Northeast, you had to be a member somewhere. So I actually made a conscious effort because I love the game and I needed to play, becoming a member at a particular course. And there a whole other session about private courses, public courses, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But when I was at Comcast, I had this gentleman that I was interviewing for a very key leadership position on my team. And when he interviewed with me in my office, I had my golf paraphernalia out, and he says, "Oh, you golf?" I said, "Yes, I do." And he goes, "Oh, I love the game of golf, love to play." The typical question, "What's your handicap?" We exchanged that. And I said, "You know what? If we have an opportunity, maybe we'll spend a little bit more time on the golf course." So I set up a tee time at my club, had him come out. We played with 2 other people that we did not know. We got paired up, but he was in my cart. And I got to see how he reacted to bad situations.
Everything.
And guess what? I didn't hire him.
You didn't like him.
I didn't hire him. I mean, he was explosive. I mean, this course that we played was quite difficult. He hit one shot that was like in the trees, just like way out there. And I said, "Don't worry about it. Take a drop." No, I'm going to hit it out from there. And it was just a disaster. But you do learn a lot about composure, decision making. And Giselle's comment about integrity. There's nothing worse than somebody that takes 8 strokes, comes back to the cart and says, "That's a 5." And you're like, how can that be a 5?
It's who you are as a person shows up on the golf course. And that is why executives, as you did, bring potential people who you want to bring up the ladder or hire, because who you are shows up on the golf course. If you're about to get in a relationship with someone, play golf with them, because who they are show up on the golf course. Something you said, Giselle, is so important, and you as well. One of the things I love about golf is that really we are a familia. Golfers are a family. And what I like to tell our members, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about Latina golfers in just a minute, we're over 2,000 members here in LA County, is that golfers are like comadres, right? When you meet a golfer, you meet a comadre, am I right? I mean, we're going to talk about where'd you play, what's your handicap, what are you playing now? I mean, it's like the barriers just go down. So I love golf because it breaks down cultural and gender barriers like that. And I don't care if you're at an airport or where you are, you meet a golfer, you're going to meet a friend. And that's a beautiful thing. And then the other thing you talked about that I think it's very important that we know here is, I don't want you to be intimidated when they invite you at your company. And Ford over here, she was telling me about how when they invited her to play golf, she didn't know, but she knew if she didn't go out, she was going to be left out, right? Because everybody was playing and she didn't want to stay in the office. But you don't have to technically be the best golfer, because that's not what it's about. It's about the camaraderie. You do have to respect the game of golf. You do have to know golf etiquette, but that is easily learned. We don't want that to be what intimidates you about getting out there and saying yes to that invitation, because also, don't you find that when you get out there and play in these charity golf tournaments, a lot of these guys are hackers.
Totally.
You think they're good. You think, oh my God, you know, he's probably good.
Here's the best.
You get out there and play with them? Yeah. No, you're better than them.
Here's the best indicator. The guy that is dressed to the nines is the worst golfer. Is the worst golfer.
With the most expensive golf clubs.
Yes, with the most expensive golf clubs, and he's got all the bells and whistles in his bag. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, you're expecting something spectacular. And then you're like, poof, oh, okay. We're gonna play. We're gonna play, but you know, it's if I may, and I don't want to steal your thunder because we didn't rehearse any of this. The other thing that a lot of the corporate events and charity events will do is they'll modify the format so that it's less intimidating for people to play. Meaning, you play in a foursome, everybody hits their first ball, if it's a best ball or a scramble, and you get to pick up, in other words, play that person's ball.
We're actually going to show them
Oh,
how to
perfect.
do that. Should we show them? But before we do that, I think we want to say that it's really the easiest point of entry to business golf is to participate in a charity golf outing because of this format that they provide, or that's what they play to make it, as Renee said, easier for everyone to play together. So don't ever say no to playing in a charity golf tournament. We're going to go through all these because all these things is what you were going to hear, but they've talked about it. Let me see. So SEEP Access provides, these are great. Women who golf has transformed their lives. So that's the easiest way. We're going to demystify golf. Really, the objective of golf is what? So easy.
Have fun.
Get that, yeah, have fun, number one. That's what Nancy Lopez says, have fun, number one. To get that little ball into the hole, that's the objective of golf. In the fewest amount of strokes possible. That is all golf is. How difficult can that be, right? That's so easy. And that's a picture of a typical golf hole. Okay, so here's what a golf hole looks like, overview, right? And so the other thing that's really magnificent about golf is that golf is designed for all levels of golfers to play together. So I could be a newbie and I can play with you who's a 13 handicap over there. And so, and I could actually beat her, because that's the way golf is designed. So it doesn't matter that you're a newbie or that you're not technically as good as somebody else. It's designed for all levels of golfers to play together. And here's one of the ways that we do that. Do you see these little boxes here? These are all what we call tee boxes. That's where we start. That's where we put our ball to hit our first shot. And then we're going to go on down the fairway all the way to where the flag is, and we want that little ball to go in the hole. So all of these tee boxes are for different levels of players. So if Sid, I'm sure, hits it like 300 yards, he's going to hit from back here, right? But if I only hit it 100 yards, I don't hit it as far as he does, I get the advantage of starting off way up here. That's not cheating. That's the way golf is designed, to level the playing field. So let's say I'm going to start here. That's where we're going to start. And we usually play in a group of 4. So it's a foursome. That's why you always hear the word foursome. So what we're going to do here is, since we're going to play from up here, because we're all kind of beginners, we're going to play from here, and then we're going to hit our first shot. Okay, that was my shot. It didn't go so well, right? I went up in the trees over there, okay? So let's see, then our second player is going to hit the ball from the same place. And then where does the ball go? Okay, didn't do so well either, right? It only went from here to there. And you can pitch in here, you gals. So then so we have 4 players, right? So then the next golfer gets up there, and she plays it. Oh, man. It didn't do so well, just from here to
That's
there.
called a
right?
shank.
We're newbies, right? So, okay, but then Miss Thing over here comes, and she hits it way the heck over there, and it's a beautiful shot. So all 4 of us got to hit the ball, right? Now, the beauty of a scramble format in these charity tournaments is that as a group, our girlfriends here, we say, whose ball do we like best? Yeah. Do we like this ball? Do we like that ball? Do we like that ball? And then we go, okay, hey, Giselle got the best ball over there. So we're all going to pick up our balls from wherever they were, and we're all going to put them there together. And then we start the process all over again. Then we all start hitting from there, and then we do the same thing, and then we go, whose ball do we like? We like that ball. We're going to pick it up and put it. So you do that all the way until you putt out. Who cannot do that?
Yeah. And sometimes the ball that's hit the furthest is not always the best ball to take. This, by the way, is considered a dogleg right. I'm just kidding. Dogleg right.
Why is that? Why is it a dogleg right?
It's a dogleg right because when you're standing at the tee box, the green, which is where the flag is to the right. So it's curved to the right.
Like a dogleg.
Right, exactly, like a leg.
To the right.
To the right.
Mírala, show off.
She's a total show off.
Listen, ladies, if you learn one thing, toot your horn here, baby.
This is absolutely my favorite way to play golf, because then it doesn't matter if you have a bad shot. It is a lot of fun, and there's absolutely no pressure whatsoever because one of the 4 of you is going to make a playable shot.
Right.
It's just a
Super
lot of fun.
Super fun.
When you hear announcers announcing the professional golf tournaments like Tiger Woods or Lisette Salas or all the pros that are playing, what are they talking about? They're not saying, oh, they hit a great shot. No. They're talking about how is she putting today, right? If she's a good putter, she's going to win the tournament. So we as women, this is what I always tell all my members, this putting levels the playing field also.
absolutely.
I may never be able to hit it as long as Sid does because he's hitting it 300 yards. I'm hitting it 200 yards. I'm not going to get... So you know what? But when we're on the green, that's a level playing field. I can catch up to Sid right there, and I may beat him because I'm a good putter, right? So don't ever be disparaged that these guys may hit it farther than us because putting is where we need to put our energy. So when you're invited to that charity golf tournament, don't say no. Just get a good foursome together. So organize a foursome that may have at least one person. At least one person that you know is a kind of a decent golfer, and the rest just go and have fun. So don't say no to that invitation. So what else would you advise them about getting into the game? How can they do that?
I'd start slow. I mean, you can't jump into a round of golf, and do the 4.5 hours right away. I'd start at the driving range. Just with anybody's set of clubs, it doesn't matter. They don't have to necessarily fit you. Just to kind of practice swinging, and if you can, take a lesson. There's lots of organizations out there. I'm a big fan of the First Tee. There's a lot of women's golf associations. It's very, very social, so it's not hard to find more of a social setting golf entry than anything real serious. But I'd start at a range. It's very inexpensive to buy a bucket of balls or borrow a bucket of balls and go out there and just swing a club.
Rent them there at the golf course. So one thing that you've all said, now they get to play at these amazing golf courses like Pebble Beach.
Not always.
A little hard
But
sometimes.
the truth
When you get that
is-
invite, you rush.
That's right.
Say yes.
The truth is that the majority of golf in the United States is public golf. So we're playing at county courses, municipal courses, and literally you can play for as little as $15, $16, $25, $45, not like at Pebble Beach where it's $500 around. So really there is something for every budget, especially when you're just starting. They're group lessons. So I'll just give a plug for my Latina golfers here. So we started 11 years ago basically for that. I never played golf in my entire life. I'm a first-generation immigrant from Monterrey, Mexico. My parents went to Texas. When I moved to California 15 years ago, I knew nothing about golf. There was no reason for me ever to step foot on a golf course. I'd been here about a month, and then this guy asked me out on a date, and I go out with him. He turns out he's a crazy avid Cubano golfer, right? So on our second date, he takes me to the golf course. He buys me a putter, and then he's teaching me how to putt, right? And right there, now I'm already way adult, and I go, oh, I could do this. I can do this. For the 3 years that he and I were together, Miguel sacrificed, he's a single-digit handicap, so he's a good golfer. He sacrificed 3 years of his life to immerse me in what golf is. And so I learned and I loved it, but I didn't know anything about the business culture of golf. I was a recreational golfer. I just wanted to play as often as I could, be better and better. And then I started being invited to charity tournaments, which I didn't even know what they were because I didn't know anything about the business culture of golf, but I was a golfer. So I said yes to that invitation, and then after a few, I realized that there were a field of 100 men and 5 or 6 women playing in the tournament, right? And I was like, oh my God, what is wrong with this? And where I connected the power of golf was that when I would run into these people, mostly guys, corporate sponsors, guys, I'd run into them at networking events, and they would know who I was. And I would have no reason for them to know who I was. I was relatively new here in Los Angeles area, but because we played golf together or they saw me at these tournaments playing golf, they knew who I was and we were on a first name basis. And once I started seeing, oh my God, there's this connection, and it's just because I play golf. And I go, where are our women? Why aren't we taking advantage of this powerful business networking tool? And on March 11th of 2008, I said, okay, we're starting Latina Golfers. I emailed my girlfriends. We had 94 ladies show up at our very first event.
That's awesome.
Because they were like, we've always wanted to learn, but we didn't know how. We have no one to teach us. We're intimidated because not only Latinas, most women or anybody that doesn't know how to play golf, you're a little bit intimidated about going to the golf course. You don't want to look like you don't know what you're doing. So we then became the welcoming committee for Latinas in LA County and Southern California to bring them in. And now we have over 2,000 members. Here we do golf clinics, golf lessons, golf outings, brunches, golf fashion shows, you name it. We're bringing Latinas into the game, and we're really proud of that. And it's making a difference because their lives are being transformed through golf. They're getting promotions. They're playing with their clients. So knowing the impact that it makes is really what keeps me going.
Yeah. I'll tell you, the success that you've had by putting this group together, amazing. I mean, to have that many women part of that is incredible. The one thing that I would say, I don't even know how I can explain it. There's something magical about the game when people get to know you on the course. And this whole access thing and recognizing people, it's real. People will walk into a networking event, they'll see you and they'll go, oh, we played together. Hey, come here. Let me introduce you to this person. Let me introduce you to that person. And it's just it's business oriented, but it's really about relationships.
That's what I was going to add. I can't underscore it. You've already heard it multiple times. The camaraderie that happens in a game of golf. It's just like us. Like, I love sitting down with the ladies last night at dinner. Like, because we're all Latinas, we are automatically friends, right? There's something familiar and something special and something comfortable about sitting down with a group of strangers and being very vulnerable and talking about life and kids and career. We've never met before, right? But it's the camaraderie that we have as a community. Same thing with golf. Same thing, you're going to find the same thing. And it turned out, I'm the same as you, it turned out to be a sport that I absolutely love and I have fun with. It's actually enjoyable. So that's what I would say.
And you're so blessed that your father actually taught you. And
Awesome.
and you had family members that played golf, but that's kind of unusual, right? At least it was in my culture, in my community. I mean, I didn't know anyone that played golf.
It was unusual, but my brother was a horrible instructor. I mean, I completely I was like, I cannot play this game. Threw the clubs aside, and it wasn't until later on when I moved to Vegas. But I wanted to mention something about the range. Do you guys have where you live? Have you ever heard of a place called Top Golf? Okay. Oh, hey.
It's gonna they're finally building one here.
Good.
Finally.
Because this is like the high-tech range where you have an opportunity to hit balls and the technology can tell you what you're doing. In other words, maybe your club face is opened or your grip or this or that. It's the best way to kind of hit balls and understand what is it that I'm doing that I need to kind of adjust or change. But the Top Golf, wow, what a business, by the way. I want a franchise.
Forget the driving range. Go to Top Golf as your entry into golf. That's so true. And they serve drinks and food. So,
I mean, what other sport or what other business activity can you get together and start having cocktails at 6 in the morning?
do it as a team building. How many of you all have direct reports? There's your way to have a lot of fun. Do it as a team building. Top Golf is a ton of fun.
Do we have any questions? We're just about out of time. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, do you have other chapters outside of California?
Actually, we're in Texas, and then I've gone to New York. Actually, I've gone to Atlanta. I've gone all over the country to do clinics. So I'm happy to go do that with you. In Texas, we have more of a presence. And it's more about just getting more resources. I am a solopreneur, basically. Sure. And so it's...
Solopreneur, I like that.
It's been, but we're getting more and more resources. We're getting a lot more recognition. So I think I want to be more intentional about where we're going to be and where we're going to go, make sure we have the resources. But you invite us, we're going to be there.
The initial advice is that there's always charity events or fundraisers or things like that, and Google them. If your company's not talking about them, Google them in your local area. See if you can show up at one of them and play. Obviously, you're going to want to spend a little bit of time at the range before if you don't already play. But I think that what you'll find is that once you get into that ecosystem, it's like a snowball. Then you start getting invited to other things. You start getting emails about different tournaments. You start getting invitations to clinics, and then it just runs rapid. Then you quit your job and you become a professional.
Yes. I would say, though, but it's just like everything else we've been hearing about our leaders, you have to be a little bit intentional. So if you know this is the route you want to go, because it is a fast track to access, you want to do your homework just like you would in anything else. Prepare yourself. Go take some clinics. Go take some lessons. Be a little bit more comfortable, and then find out the charity tournaments. Get your company to sponsor one, and then you can invite influencers to come and play with you, so that way your company will pay for it. Yes.
I think
Yes.
that the reason that someone organizing the Walmart tournament knew that I knew how to play golf, because I didn't tell anyone, I think you should take Myrna's advice and tell everyone, was that I had hosted a golf tournament for my team. We just wanted to raise a little bit of money for a local community. And, people talk to people about this outing, this half day that Giselle took her team out. They raised some money for sharing and caring of Benton County, whatever the case is, and that's ultimately how the word got out. Lots of different ways you could do it. Get the word out. I like her advice.
Bring a putter to your office.
Oh, actually.
That's one of the easy. Bring a putter to your office.
A putter and a little fake green.
Yes.
And when
People are
you're
gonna start asking you right
Oh, I'm
away.
serious. And when you're on those conference calls and you're not speaking.
Yes. And then when they ask you, be honest. Say, you know what? I'm a newbie. I'm just learning. And that's okay.
I will share with you that when you're a beginner, you probably want to play with friendlies. You want to play with friendlies that know that you're beginning and that you're looking for help, because it is probably very anxiety-ridden to get paired with people that you don't know in the beginning. Later on, when you feel good about your ability to just keep up, we like to say that, right? Just keep up. Then you can just show up, and then it's very social. They'll pair you with other people.
It is fun to meet new people that way. I love to go play by myself, and you meet all kinds of wonderful people. But when you're playing, as she said, use this format, because there is nothing worse than keeping people waiting for you because you're a newbie and they're advanced. So hit your ball, whatever shot, maybe it wasn't a great shot, pick it up and just go put it close to their ball. That way you're not keeping anybody waiting, and everybody's going to have a good time.
So let's say the tee box to the flag. You count how many strokes it takes to get there. Now, the golf
That's a
course...
little complicated one handicap, but basically what it means is, let's say
I'm not explaining it very
if you
well.
played a round of golf, and to play it perfectly, because there's par 3, par 4, and par 5 holes. That's too complicated to explain here. But you get 72 points, let's say, if you play perfectly this round of golf. 71 points. And she's a 13 handicap. That means that you add 71 plus 13 is what? 80, 184. So that means when she plays, she only plays over the goal of 71 by 13 strokes. Does that make sense?
So the course, she mentioned it already, par 3, par 4, par 5. A par 5 means that if you played that hole perfectly, and it's a par 5 because it's longer in distance from tee to green, that a really good player will do that in 5 strokes. One off the tee, a couple more, and then a couple putts. That'll be a 5. So when you meet someone that says, oh, my handicap is 10, typically they're going to score, like she said, 82. Or if someone says, I'm a 20, then you do the math. That just means that on a par 5, they're probably going to have 6 strokes. Some of them will have 0 strokes. Some of them will have 1. Par 3s are really short or shorter. Nothing's short, but shorter, meaning that if you were a perfect player, or they called scratch. If you ever heard that, I'm scratch, that means my handicap is 0. That means I play, and I typically are 72 or below. That means that person is playing professionally, quite honestly, or has in the past. But in a par 3, the expectation is that a really good golfer will complete the hole in 3 strokes. If you have a handicap on that hole, you may be given another stroke. So
like if I'm playing against her right now, because I don't play a whole lot, I'm at the golf course all the time, but I'm teaching, not playing. So mine's at 24 right now. Hers is 13. So what's the difference between 13 and 24? 9?
We're the CFOs.
She has to give me 9. She has to give me 9 strokes.
Yeah.
Give me 9 strokes so I get 9 points ahead.
Right.
Just because that's how you level the playing field.
She can take 9 more swings
Yes.
and still be on the even playing field
Correct.
with her.
Correct.
Yeah, so that's how it levels the playing field. I know it's a little bit complicated, and what we need to do, Sid, is do a real actual workshop on the green, on the driving range, and actually give them a lesson on how to play golf so that they could do it. Because it sounds a little complicated, but it's really, really easy to do.
By USGA standards, they typically cut you off in the 30s, right?
Yeah,
But that's
about
okay.
36
That's
or
okay,
so.
because if you play with someone and
You get a lot of
say
strokes.
you get a ton of strokes, you may win before you even make the turn. But if you're, if you're a novice, you typically don't have a handicap. They'll just assume, and they'll give, they'll just say, no problem, we're going to make you a 30, right? And you're going to get those strokes. Now the goal is to lower your handicap. It's kind of a counterproductive goal, because you lower your handicap, because that means you're playing better, but then you're in a difficult position when you play with somebody that has a bigger handicap, because they get freebies, they get free strokes. So when you have a lower handicap, you have to really play to your handicap
Always
to win.
To win. So I would
Here's
have a chance to win.
Here's another word for you in the vocabulary that I never use for myself. Birdie. Can you explain what a
You
birdie
hear it all
is?
the time.
There's birdies, bogeys, eagles, and an albatross.
And hole-in-ones. How many of you had a hole-in-one?
I've never had one.
2. Yes, question, did you have a hole-in-one?
Close.
Excellent. On a par 3, that is excellent. Well, we have run out of time, but before we do that, I'm going to take privilege here, and I would like to make you honorary members of our Latina golfers. Yes, thank you, ladies. And then we have a giveaway. If the first person that can tell me the name of a professional Latina, she's either playing on the LPGA Tour or played on the LPGA Tour. She can be from the United States or not. Nancy Lopez. Okay, she said it first. Nancy Lopez. Does anybody know who Nancy Lopez is? She was our legend. She's still a living legend. She's still very much a part of the LPGA, the Ladies Professional Golf Association. She's a Mexican-American, was from New Mexico and California, and she's awesome. So she was a trailblazer. So here you get a bottle of bubbly. You get a visor. Okay, whatever you want in some little Latina golfers. So thank you. I hope this was fun for you. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you to our guests today. Appreciate it.
That was a ton of fun.